and good evening. I'm Ani, and I am here this evening alone to just sort of do a little of the tarot guidance that I like to do at the end of our weekly live stream. So, for whatever reasons, many of them, we weren't able to do our regular live stream this last week. Yesterday morning, Teresa and I took a very quick very short trip to recharge ourselves. We stayed close to the Columbia at the mouth of the Pacific and really soaked in a lot of that water vibe. It's water is the element that deals with emotion in my tradition, and so we wanted to just sort of refresh and recharge along with our good friend VJ, and so we did this mad dash tour and we're hoping that we would, in fact, come to you live yesterday morning from the wilds of a hotel room in Astoria, Oregon. And in fact, we did not. As some of you may have noticed, things are like that sometimes. There were some technical issues. There were some other issues. Um, it was a fascinating time away. Let's just say that. I got no less than three different emergency phone calls from different people who were having some hard times, and I'm grateful that I have wonderful people in my life who feel comfortable reaching out for me when things are hitting the fan. I also feel super grateful that I was able to process and ground at the banks of a river, and not just any river, but the mouth of the beautiful Columbia. So here I am, and we have been sort of reflecting all day about the events of 20 years ago. Teresa and I were both commentators at KBOO and KBOO Community Radio in Portland, where we met in the early 90s. And on that day, we took to Studio 2 and basically did live commentary for 8 hours with the amazing Kathleen Stevenson acting as the producer and finding wonderful people to talk with and interview with people in the air room, volunteers in the air room doing rip and reads and trying to keep up on the information that was coming in. My gosh, that morning we spoke with just amazing minds, and on into the day doing this live commentary and reflecting back on how that moment, that day, was going to be definitive in our country's history, of course, and how it was going to lock in the conditions that made ripe for fascism. And looking back and seeing how much of what has happened today and has been happening for the last 20 years, how each step has been put in place, and so much of it really does get a boost from the passage of the Patriot Act and the incredible xenophobia that was whipped up after those events. So we'll have more to say on that next week, I'm sure. This week, that's what we have. So I'm here tonight primarily to do a little live stream, a little tarot reading for the community. And yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and do that, even if we weren't going to do our full commentary show. And so what I got for our community is really focused on emotion and the water element. Surprise. So what we have are the cups. We have the Three of Cups, and I'm using the Cat Tarot deck. Then we have the Knight of Cups, and we have the Page of Cups. And all of these cards actually were pulled inversed. And so I see that as a lot of challenge to the energy that is around And so I just sort of at the head of it, this could be a week where we see communication is really greatly challenged. I believe that we have Mercury retrograde coming up in a couple of weeks, and a lot of people have sort of challenges with that. But this is how I look at tarot when I'm doing a collective reading like this. This is the energy, the prevailing energy that the universe is sending to all of us. It's not so much like all of us are going to have this happen to us these weeks, but this is just sort of the energy that's out there that we get to deal with. You know how days have vibes, weeks have vibes. Well, according to my cards, the vibes of this week are really looking out for your communication. It is so important that we go ahead and actually make sure we're saying what's true in our hearts, and that we're taking care of miscommunication as they happen. The Three of Cups is a card that talks about social bonding. It talks about the overflowing of love, the sharing of emotions. How when you open the heart and really connect with each other, everyone has more. It's abundance energy writ large. But if somebody's acting up, if somebody's taking too much, if somebody is starting to hoard, if somebody is, uh, just sort of drinking too much, indulging, as it were, things get out of balance. And that has to be tended to because it's going to sort of disrupt the whole. And so this week, in our lives and in the whole, look for what is pulling our attention unnecessarily. Look for what is taking too much from us. That's not a healthy distraction. Uh, what is sort of upsetting the apple cart. All right. So then we get the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups is the wise messenger of the heart. And so with that, um, generally speaking, we learn more. It's an energy that is receptive to really speaking our truth and speaking it from our hearts, really having our emotions guide us. And um, this is this is the thing. I in the week, as we are looking, as we are speaking our truth, as we're speaking from our hearts, make sure that we're being understood. With all of the cards inversed, I would really caution that our words that come out of our mouths may not align necessarily with what we intend. Also, be looking for uh, manipulative energy, I guess. Uh, it's a time when, again, emotions are running high, and it's easy to manipulate people when they're emotionally involved. And so I usually trust folks. I usually think we all have the best of each other's intentions at heart. I used to think that perhaps a little bit more. The last couple of years may have diminished just a scooch of my optimism. But I still do believe genuinely that we are good at our cores. Still, it's important to remember that even good people do things that are ridiculous at times. Even good people may have bad communication or maybe manipulating because they don't realize that that's what's going on. And sometimes people may be a little damaged and not so good. So be watching for miscommunication, be watching for manipulation. And I think, this is especially true in the news cycles, right? They really get our emotions involved and they bring us messages of, utter disaster daily because there's a lot of disaster going on for sure. But watch how that manipulates us. Especially here we are 20 years into this anniversary, right? And so we want to make sure that we're not manipulated again into any of that sort of xenophobic hype that the events of 9/11 initially brought. Um, so yeah, huge amounts of communication energy, huge amounts of heart energy, and it ends again with the Page of Cups. And the Page of Cups, again, speaking about emotions, speaking specifically to the sort of exuberance of really just that playfulness of heart and that freshness of emotions, but it can also talk about immaturity. And again, with the general vibe of all of these cards being inversed, be again watching for those that are taking too much time and attention, those that are acting out, and set boundaries for yourself so that you don't empty your own cup, so that you don't exhaust yourself having to deal with folks that are um, manipulating or taking too much, being immature, and all of those things. So that is up for this week. That is what the cards bring us. It is all about heart connections. It is all about watching your words, making sure that they are in line with your heart, and making sure that our connections stay strong and that we keep checking in with each other on communication. Also, in the bigger cycle, watching the news, making sure you're not manipulated by the messages they're in. It's important not to be um, aloof, but watch how engaged you're getting. Make sure that things are balanced and that you're able to engage your conscious, rational thoughts as well as your heart and emotional self. And so that's what I have for this week. I hope that that helps. And we'll be again together next Friday morning at 9 o'clock when we come back, hopefully with Teresa, for our next stream for This Is Now, Bridge to a Better World. You can follow this program on, well, you can find our archives here on YouTube. You can follow thoughts throughout the week. We twit, and we do that at Bridge numeral 2 Utopia. You can also find my Twitter feed at Ani_Raven. Teresa is, I can't remember. You'll find her on all those. And go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Like this video. Thanks so much. We may be back earlier the next week. You just never know. Take good care. We love you.